and Leadership and Professor of Marketing. He holds a Ph.D. in Marketing from the University of Cincinnati and has held faculty appointments at Rutgers Business School, the University of Cincinnati, and Emerson College. In Okorie's role as Vice President of SOX, he is responsible for Kaiser Permanente's SOX and Model Audit Rule, MAR program. Okorie has held leadership and management roles with Ernst & Young LLP, Robert Half International, Anderson LLP, and Coopers, and Linebrand LLP. He holds a bachelor's degree in business administration with a concentration in accounting from San Francisco State University and a Kaiser Permanente Executive Leadership Program certificate from Harvard Business School. Okorie is a former adjunct professor for San Francisco State's MBA program and a current member of the board of directors for the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, as well as a member of the Lamb Family College of Business Dean's Development Council. So I'm passing the mic over to you, Okorie, to kick us off.
Fantastic. Thank you, Manny. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you this evening and several of our Gator family. And to also Dr. Sivadas, really appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation with you regarding your new role with the Lamb Family School of Business. So hello, Gators. And again, welcome to tonight this evening's discussion. I am really pleased to be here to welcome our new dean and with the Lamb Family College of Business, Dr. Eugene Sivadas. We're going to jump right in with questions, but I do want to recommend that if you have a question as we're engaging in the conversation, really would welcome you to type into the chat function so that we can keep an eye on that, make sure we're getting your questions and having a live discussion. We really don't want to be talking at you. We really want this to be an engaging discussion, and we welcome your input into the conversation. So with that, we're going to jump right in. And actually, Dean, if you would, please tell us what drew you to San Francisco State University and what motivates you to take the position of Dean of the college.
Well,
Please
first of all,
thoughts.
thank you, Okorie, for taking the time to do this. And thank you to Manny and Janine for putting this together. And mostly thanks to all of you for being here. I have always known of San Francisco State University from general name recognition, being in academia for the last 25 years. But what drew me to the college, one is the location, right? For a business school, it's hard. One would have to really stretch to think of a better location than San Francisco, being such a hotbed for innovation in a variety of areas. The depth and breadth of offerings the college has to offer was another draw. I mean, we go well beyond the traditional business disciplines of accounting and finance and marketing into labor studies and hospitality, tourism, and such. And that breadth gives the possibility to scale and to offer students a curriculum that they may not be able to get in a lot of different places. So at the undergraduate level, you'll see that the general business program is one of our largest majors because it is very versatile. And I also felt that the Lamb family, the Chris Larsons and Lamb family contribution, the big gift they gave was a big draw. And I think the great alumni pool, the large alumni pool of the school was another factor. It's one of the most diverse business schools in the country. So I believe that San Francisco State is ahead of the game of where other universities will be 20 years from today in the United States. The faculty were a big draw. I mean, they're trained in the leading doctoral programs. And most importantly, I believe that the Lamb Family College of Business has the opportunity, gives one the platform to rewrite the script of what it means to be a great business school. I mean, there's a traditional formula out there where, you offer doctoral programs and make the entry into the college as selective as possible. And say, hey, we are a top business school. It's not what you do inside. It's just basically the inputs. So here, I believe what we can do from the inside can actually rewrite the script of what it means to be a great business school. So those were really what makes me excited about the college.
Excellent. Excellent. And we're already got a question coming in, but we're going to go through just a few more questions, and then we're going to get into some Q&A. So really appreciate it, and want to advise everyone that please keep the questions coming in. So, Eugene, please tell us about your vision and the priorities for the Lamb College of Business, Lamb Family College of Business, and what you hope to accomplish in your first year.
Thank you. So fundamentally, I believe what we need to do is to create in our students a confidence that the education they are getting is second to none, and to create a sense of excitement among the faculty and staff. So in terms of my priorities, essentially, I would like to make the Lamb Larson College of Business, along with everybody, because in this field, it's never a one-man show. It's the faculty, the staff, the students all play a part. Is to make the Lamb Family College of Business the preeminent non-doctoral granting business school in the United States. And I think it's already halfway there because of the city, the size, the scale, the scope. But I think that's really what I want to do. So in conversations with colleagues and community members, we've identified 7 priorities for the college. And we've formed 5-member task forces to work on these priorities. And we hope to have some concrete action plans by mid-February. And these priorities very quickly, one is student obsession, trying to do the maximum possible for our students, trying to make it as easy as possible for them to experience the high quality education. Innovate in the curriculum to make sure it's cutting edge. Focus more on the community, because this is a community-based institution. And I think so. I would like to see our college engage with the community in our teaching, in our research. Diversity and inclusion is a big priority. Trying to clarify the research identity of the college a little bit more. And basically, of course, fundraising, friend-raising, and building the brand. So these are my priorities. Regarding what we hope to accomplish in the first year, it's essentially to have a good sense of what we can do and have a clear action plan on these 7 priorities. Plus, of course, to see how we can deploy the Lamb Larson gift to accomplish the intentions of the funders of the gift, and to take the school, to scale greater heights with that gift. So that's really the priority.
Excellent. Right, and thank you for that. As many started the conversation regarding everyone's working from home, for the most part. And so the COVID-19 pandemic has really changed our world, the educational landscape, in literally the last 8-9 months. So how are you and the faculty adapting to ensuring that San Francisco State students are staying on track to receive the educational skills that they'll need to be successful in this new job and economy?
I think the faculty, yes, very true. This is a very interesting time. And I believe there was all this talk that by 2040 or so, the universities will be heavily online. So I think we sort of kicked up the process 20 years ahead of time. So with respect to COVID, our faculty and the university and staff have done a heroic job. So the university, through its teaching and learning center, launched training programs for the faculty to deploy effective pedagogy online. So the faculty have put in a lot of work to ensure that they can, move from the face-to-face platform to the online platform. It does require a different approach because you don't see students face-to-face. So there's been a lot of effort, a lot of thought put into that. We are continuing with various programs by adapting it to the online world, So student clubs, we are still having Meet the Firms in accounting. Our career services is hosting a lot of open MIC forums. And the online platform does give a lot of opportunities as well, because, for example, we can now bring in guest speakers from around the country and the whole world into our classrooms, right? Because everybody is so practiced on Zoom and, other such software that, we are able to actually make the world our classroom. So there are certain benefits, but we all hope that the pandemic is over soon, like everybody else. So.
Indeed. And Janine's actually put into the chat feature where you can learn more about what the campus is doing and how they're responding to COVID-19. So not now, but at some point, please definitely take a look and learn more about what the university is doing to really support the students. So now what I'd like to do is kind of turn to, with the time frame that you've been in as serving as the dean, what have you learned that you didn't expect since becoming dean of the Lamb Family College of Business?
On a lighter note, I realized that San Francisco State loves acronyms. So I had to learn up a lot of acronyms. We don't like use just say teaching evaluations. We say SETI, and so I was wondering what is SETI, and so things like that. So the acronyms are big on acronyms. So that's one of the things I didn't expect. And I honestly have been pleasantly surprised to latch on to your previous question, how how sort of seamless this Zoom process was, because I've been operating via Zoom for the past 2.5 months, and all of us have, that it's still been very functional process. So that's a pleasant surprise,
Great. All right. So as you start thinking about what you hope to bring that's new or different to Lamb College of Business, can you share some thoughts with the Gator family on what you're thinking that will be different and new that you bring based on your background and experience?
So I'm a career academic. I mean, I did work in the corporate world for a few years, but I'm basically a career academic. And secondly, I'm a marketer. So I always look at universities or in one way on a perceptual map. And I do believe that I would like to inculcate a mindset that we can dream big. We are who we are, but I think we can dream big. And that's what I would really hope to bring in. As far as what I bring that is new or different, I guess every dean brings certain things into the equation. I was preceded by 2 deans who were both from the industry. So, and obviously had significant experience there. So I bring that a deeper academic perspective, having been an academic in both in the, flagship research universities and in more balanced institutions. And I think that bring that perspective, which I believe, and having seen a lot of different universities in different stages of their journey, I get that sort of bring that perspective in and how we can, use those that insights to, rewrite the script of what it means to be a great business school. So that's really, I guess I can answer that way.
Okay, very good. And so this next question is really about our alumni and our Gator family that we have here tonight and beyond. But I know that I've truly enjoyed serving on the Dean's Development Council and also establishing a foundation, or I should say an endowment, for the College of Business. And so that's something that based on the education experience that I've had with San Francisco State, that I felt the desire to really do something and give back. And so what I'm wondering is if you can share some thoughts with our alumni who are participating, how they can get involved and make a difference in the next generation of Gators to follow.
Thank you, Okorie, and thank you all for your involvement and your contributions to the college and to our students. So I would say first I'd take the more recent alumni. They can play a very important role in terms of coaching our students who are entering the job market. Because the reason being that the kind of jobs they are in 1 year out or 2 years out is the jobs that our students will be interviewing for. So they can give them some inside guidance of what actually happens when you get into a job. Like it's one thing to say I'm an accountant or a marketer. What exactly do I do? So I think so I would love for our younger alumni to help our current students, coaching them on career options and so on. I'd like all alumni to participate in our events. We organize a lot of events, Business Ethics Weeks, Women's Emerging Leadership Forum, Taste of the Bay, and so on. So I would love for the alumni to participate in those events. Love for them to hire our students where possible for internships and jobs. Be good ambassadors for our college, right? Because you are, so if you see some promising students, I recommend our college to them, for graduate programs, undergrad programs. Alumni should consider us as a location for lifelong learning. And of course, if you are so fortunate and you can pay it forward, that'd be wonderful, in terms of helping us fundraise and friend raise. That would be much appreciated. And of course, please stay engaged with the college. If you are in the business world, many of our classes could utilize guest speakers. So there are a lot of different ways to stay in touch. So it all depends on the alumni, their own interests and their own, station in life and life stage and things like that. So.
Oh, that's wonderful, Eugene. And I'll tell you that when I taught my class, the Leadership in Action class at San Francisco State in the MBA program, it really came through actually participating in another instructor's course as a guest speaker. So to your point, it's a wonderful way to give back to the student population, share your experiences. In that way, it's really interesting that you know so much, because of the fact that you've gone through your career, and there's not a whole lot that you have to prepare for because you're talking about your life experiences. So it's a great opportunity to really make a difference in the lives of the next generation coming behind. So really appreciate you sharing those thoughts. And Gators, we clearly have our marching orders now of things that we can do to be involved, and I hope that you will take the opportunity to do so. As we move from this component of our discussion, because we definitely have want to move to Q&A, and we really want to hear from many of you who are on the call on this Zoom with us. I wanted to ask you, Eugene, if you have any thoughts about or perspectives of what you want to share with the Gator community before we go to Q&A. Just other things that are top of mind for you that would be valuable for this group to hear about.
Yeah, we would love for our alumni to engage with us in a variety of ways. That is very important to us and to me. So please feel free to reach out. And LF the Lamb Family College of Business, is a great school that is poised for greater things. I mean, we are all in tough times because of the COVID pandemic and the impact it has on the state's budget and such. But still, it's so please be in touch and please get engaged. And thank you for coming today as well. So.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so I'm going to, so first of all, let me thank you, Eugene, for, first of all, thinking of this idea of coming forward as you're really getting started to really share your thoughts and views with our Gator community so that we could hear from you and your perspectives of what we can look for from the Lamb Family College of Business in the future. We're going to now move to some questions, and I believe that Janine's going to open up the Q&A. And Janine, would you like to start with the questions?
Yes, thank you so much, Okorie, and thank you, Dr. Sivadas, for kicking our Q&A and our meet and greet off. Let's start with Jeff's question. Jeff, thank you so much for asking. He would love to hear more about the School of Business's current diversity and inclusiveness initiatives and how things might change if Prop 16 were to pass in just a couple of days, November 3rd.
Sure. So one of the strategic priorities I've identified is to take a look at diversity and inclusion efforts within the college. And we appointed, we have a 5-member task force, 2 appointed and 3 elected, and that includes students, faculty, and staff. And so we were taking a look at our processes, and during the fall kickoff that we hold an all-college meeting in the fall, we actually spent about half the time looking at diversity and inclusion and dividing the participants into small groups to discuss and identify ideas that we might actually implement. Now, it's San Francisco State was very recently identified by the Wall Street Journal as one of the most diverse colleges in the universities in the United States. And as you know, right from the 1960s, San Francisco State has been at the forefront of looking at diversity and inclusion issues. And as a city too, what San Francisco thinks today, the country and the world thinks 25 years later. So we are always ahead of the curve in terms of diversity. So I think we are, it is a big priority for us. So I'm waiting for what the task force says. But in the meantime, also, we are looking at things like, how to help students who are underrepresented students, how to give them more career guidance. So one of our biggest emphasis in the past couple of years has been the career center that we have. And I believe the career center has got a big role to play here, in trying to prepare students from a diverse background for the corporate world, going beyond the classroom and such. So with Prop 16, so for our college, I mean, since we are already one of the most diverse colleges, and so I think the Prop 16 as a whole, we normally, I guess, the advisors in public universities don't comment on specific electoral issues, so I won't get into that per se. But I think our college is well prepared. We are at the forefront in terms of diversity, and as we all know, diversity is an ongoing effort. It's not that somebody turns on a light switch and everything gets fixed. So, but I think we have a lot to look forward to because of our brand heritage in this field.
Thank you, Eugene. Our next question comes from Daniel Del Greco. Daniel, would you like to unmute yourself and ask yourself, or?
Hello, Professor. Yeah, I did the program from 2010 to 2012, and back then the program was on 2 floors. There was guest speakers every Monday night. There was Thirsty Thursday events. There was a lot more hotel cubicles to meet with the professors. There was a lot more study groups then. We could have study groups before class, study groups on Saturday morning. So it seems like the program has shrunk a little bit, and I'm wondering what you're going to do to grow the program.
I think it is one of our top priorities to grow the program. So we have, for grow all the grad programs in general, we have the Masters in Accounting. We also started a program in South San Francisco, Biotech MBA program as well. So we are committed to downtown. Part of the challenge we are facing is that MBA programs per se are at the so-called at the mature to decline stage of the product life cycle. So there's a national decline in terms of MBA enrollments. And secondly, a second challenge we face is that because San Francisco is such an attractive city, a lot of programs from outside other parts of the country have come into San Francisco, like INSEAD and Wharton and Babson and such. So there's much more intense competition that we face. And third is the growth of online programs. So back maybe 20 years ago, a lot of the online programs may lack credibility, but today very many elite MBA programs are now offering mostly online format programs where you can come into campus once a month for a weekend and take the rest of it online and such and things like that. So the competitive landscape has changed quite a bit. But having said that, none of these factors can be excuses. We have to double down. So we are taking a look at our program offerings. What can we do to make them more relevant? Is there a different kind of format, delivery format that we should look at? In terms of, so yes, so we have to put in the marketing resources behind it. And yes, we would want to grow the program. The program has shrunk a lot. And actually, if you have some ideas or thoughts, please do email me too, especially if you think because you've gone through the program, you see what might be some of the things that we could highlight or fix. That would be very helpful as well.
Thank you, Eugene. I see that Erin has made comment here about the classroom work that she had. Erin, did you want to ask a question as well?
Here we are. Sorry, I'm outside. Yeah, I wanted to just get your sense of how to better connect the theoretical classroom setting to the actual skills, because I graduated in 2019 in December. And so this year while interviewing, it's just been a lot of focus on the different like software and really relying heavily on the coursework that I did and like those projects and like really just trying to improve the quality of all of those things for each student going forward.
I guess the business colleges of business today are focusing a lot on experiential learning. And I think that is a big component of, and then of course, encouraging students to do more internships. So I don't know how many internships you did, because then one of the challenges we would have is that, because a lot of our students are commuter students and they are also working full time. So a lot of times those internships are tough to do. Maybe in certain places like accounting, it's a lot easier than in some other fields. So I think we need to encourage students to do more internships. The student clubs can play a big role in those, because the academic type student, like marketing club, accounting club, and so on, where they can also get projects to do more hands-on. So those are the best ways, so basically I think that's really the key here, to prepare students and get students more exposure from the classroom, because a lot of times you get prepared by seeing other people who are more advanced in their careers, listening to them, interacting with them. Then you pick up small bits and pieces here of what to do, what not to do, and so on. So.
Thank you, Eugene. And to add to that, any alumni who have internship opportunities or mentorship interest or work study projects or ideas on how to get Gators out in the field, you can always reach out to our career services and professional development department, as well as Manny and myself, and we'll be able to connect you. We'll share our contact information both in the chat as well as at the end of this presentation. Our next question comes from Brenda. Brenda, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask?
Hi, thank you for taking my questions. And thank you for spending this evening with us to get to know us. So I graduated in 2017, and I wholeheartedly agree with what you just said about internships and how key they are to getting a really good job coming out of college. And that was what I attribute my success coming out of college too. And I hope that you can instill that into professors in their curriculum, and to have them emphasize how important it is to have that experience in college. But my question was actually having to do with what you believe are going to be the most challenging areas that you'll face as dean in implementing your vision, be it, maybe student graduation rates, dealing with university politics, getting all the professors on the same page. What do you think are going to be the challenge areas for you?
So I would say that the biggest challenge area is that we could use more financial resources, because if we had more financial resources, like simple thing like career center, like instead of one career guide, we could have 8 or 10, So I think so a lot of this comes from that. But I think we have to, as an academic, I do recognize that, having conversations with different stakeholders, having patience is very important. Academia is very slow to change, but change does happen. Because I think mostly all of us agree on the same things. I mean, we want our students to succeed. I don't think I've never met any faculty member anywhere else who thinks otherwise. So I think it's just that we may have slightly different philosophies here and there, but by and large, we are all united in the same goal. And I think the key here is to be as transparent, be as open, be as inclusive as possible. And through that, we can, but I think fundamentally we have to motivate all our colleagues and, to get them to work together to accomplish what we can. So the challenges that we now face at the university level, I mean, Daniel alluded to one challenge, which is the declining enrollment in the MBA program, right? Because we can throw a nice party. If nobody shows up, it's not going to be a fun party. So the thing is that we have to focus heavily on enrollments. We have to, of course, as Erin said, we have to make sure that our curriculum is cutting edge. And we want to make at least the Lamb Family College of Business a sort of a destination program. So I going back to, you did your undergrad here, right? So what made you choose us as opposed to, let's say, what other colleges you were looking at, and what can we use to draw people to our college? So,
it's funny because I chose it for the same reason you did, the city,
okay,
the location.
okay. Yeah, so we have to highlight that more. We have to deepen our ties with the community more. I do want to, we have a Dean's Development Council. I'm very focused on expanding that, trying to get into certain verticals like, venture capital and, tech and such, because they are in our background, in our area. So I think that's what's important.
Thank you, Brenda, and thank you, Eugene. Our next question comes from Jeff, who has a question about teachings of the future. Jeff, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Sivadas.
Thank you.
I saw a disturbing commercial last night. Not so disturbing, but it talked. They were offering a program for kids to learn code. So the kids that are coming into college, maybe not now, but in 5 years or 10 years, especially the ones that haven't been in classrooms for a bit, how are you going to teach those kids? They're going to come in probably way far advanced than the children that are going to be coming in the next couple of years.
I think I think what we have to teach them is to be lifelong learners, and the idea is that we have to be more flexible in terms of if the students are already at a certain level in terms of their education. A lot of colleges are allowing more credits to be transferred in to shorten the degree, the length of the degree up to a certain point. And so yes, I mean, I think I have also read through a lot of conversations about, what happens, how will learning look like in 10 years or 20 years, because today with YouTube and Google and such, a lot of knowledge is no longer what it used to be, because you can look it up much more easily than you could 25 years ago or 30 years ago. So I think our mindset on how we train our students, what the future of education will look like. I mean, some of the fundamentals remain the same: the ability to write well, the ability to talk well, the ability to think critically, to have some facility with numbers. Those things are going to remain, but I think so. It's going to be a gradual process. And yes, and also talking about kids knowing to code. Today, that I was just reading something yesterday which said that there are now some software that can actually do the programming if you just tell it what it needs to do. So it's interesting to, we all will be there for the journey in whatever way. But I think from an educational perspective, it forces us, especially in fast changing fields, to stay current ourselves as faculty, because many times what we learned 20 years ago may become somewhat dated. So especially in fields that are fast changing. In certain fields, it's the fundamentals don't change as fast, so that's the difference between teaching history, let's say, and teaching, like programming, because things that you learned and new things are coming up. But it's going to be a fun journey, an exciting journey. That's but we have to be more adaptable and flexible instead of being rigid. That's my view.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Our next comment comes from Marge Josephson. Marge, do you want to say your comment aloud? Okay. She says, build your network now as you're studying as a tip to networking and really finding those opportunities. and adding, the 16 folks on this wonderful event as ways to find jobs are getting harder and harder, and headhunters are not as valuable as they used to be. I would also like to encourage everyone here to join the Lamb Family College of Business LinkedIn group. I'll add that to the chat as well. And do we also have any other questions?
Eugene, I'll ask another one. So I'm interested in understanding, the fact that COVID-19 has really changed fundamentally how colleges and universities are engaging with students, and just the idea of when we think about, at least in boards that I sit on, I'm hearing about how the college experience is becoming, very different, and that some universities and colleges are actually being significantly hit, in terms of their, either their fundraising or just dollars coming in, because a lot of students are taking a gap year because they're like, I don't want to pay for University of Phoenix. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about how do we kind of combat that to make sure the students do have a really good experience, or that how do we avoid being someone who's kind of that we're not a university of choice for students in a situation like this pandemic or beyond.
I think it is tough as far as the colleges and universities facing trouble. To some degree, especially in the East Coast, in New England and stuff, some of the smaller colleges have gone under. And so basically all that has happened is that the pandemic has sort of accelerated a process which might have happened anyways 10 years or 5 years down the road for some of those colleges. So for us, I guess the fundamental thing we have to do is to get students engaged. And so I think, and it's not just in the classes that the student clubs, events such as these, or events with employers, events with community members, or that giving students a sense of community is very important, so that they don't feel isolated from each other and stuff. And as far as whether online learning alone, can it replicate the classroom learning? Especially if you're talking of very traditional age students, like the post-high school coming right into college, a lot of the learning happens outside the classroom, right? And that's true of the workforce too. I mean, a lot of the learning happens in the hallways and in the and other places, lunchroom and so on. So yes, so that experience will be somewhat altered from this. And at our end, what we are trying to do is we are making sure that we are not replicating the face-to-face and just slapping it into an online version. So our approach to teaching has to change. So for example, to give a specific example, in certain fields, more quantitative fields, there is a tendency to do a lot of high-stake exams. Right? So I think replicating that in the online world may not work for everybody, where you come into a class and take a 2-hour exam. So we have to think differently, give more projects, give different kinds of assignments so that the learning is still taking place. That is the classroom discussion can be replaced somewhat with the on-message board discussions, have some live sessions like these. So we have to all try different methods. And to students, I would say just hang in there. I mean, in this pandemic, will go away. And in the interim, I think, I still think we are still offering a good quality education with rigor, even if it's online. I mean, some of the social components may be missing, but students should focus on trying to get that by staying in touch with their classmates and professors and such.
Got it. Engagers, if you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to use the chat function. I'll ask one other one while we see if there are any additional questions, Eugene. And this is kind of going off of something that you said, as well as Brenda. Both of you mentioned that you joined, or that you came to San Francisco. You came to the San Francisco State because of the city, right? And so I think it's important. At least I'm a big fan of giving back to which you've gotten. And so in this case, what's the value that the Lamb the Lamb Family College of Business can bring to San Francisco and local community? How do we want to give back?
Well, first of all, fundamentally, as far as the college goes, we are one of the primary providers of workforce to businesses in this city, right? We train a lot of the workforce in this city, and we are an anchor institution and a community institution. So that makes us different from Stanford. If Stanford tomorrow was in New Jersey, probably the student body would still look the same as it does in Palo, but our student body is drawn from our community. So what I do want all the community leaders to be aware of is that we are like in retailing, you have anchor stores, right? The big department stores. So we are an anchor institution in this city and in this community. We are also a center for lifelong learning. Jeff had a question earlier about students learning how to code already by the time they come into college. So today, I think what we are finding is that because of the fast changing world, it's not simply that you finished your high school or your college and you're all set. I think learning is something that happens lifetime, right? Like if you're doing SOX, right? SOX didn't exist, maybe 15 years ago or
exactly.
20, yeah. So we have to also offer those platforms for more continuing education. And fundamentally, as SF State is an engine of social mobility for a large number of people. And I think that's our mission. That's who we are, and we want the city to be aware of that. That in the sense that we have transformed lives, and hopefully others in the city will partner with us on that aspect of our mission.
Yeah, fantastic. Gators, any additional questions we want to ask of Eugene before handing it over to Manny? Seeing if there's anything else. Okay, I see one. Brenda, do you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Sure. It was just something that was talked about a little bit earlier. Are you taking any different approach to student organizations and engaging with them at the college level at all?
Yes. So actually, I'm meeting with them. I believe it's tomorrow or again. I've advised student organizations at different stages of my career, and student organizations have to be run by students. There are certain organizations that do well but I think the whole idea is we want to do an audit of what percentage of students are involved in organizations, because the same 10 people show up for everything, so we want to figure out ways that the student organizations can be more useful, right? So a lot of times students don't show up because they don't think it's worth their time, right? So the product, it's not simply posting flyers everywhere. It's about whether the product has anything in it to draw students. And I think, and the ways that during orientation, during advising, during sessions with career services, they have to keep drilling the importance of the student organizations to the students. And to actually hear testimonials as to how the student or participating in the student organization helped the students, because it helps build leadership skills. Anybody can pay $20 membership fee and put a membership in their resume. That's not what we are talking about. What we are saying is that how can this student organization be useful to you? And whether it's building your leadership skills, whether it's building your network. I think Marge had a comment earlier about the importance of building networks. So basically, one of the great things about a student organization is if you get into that leadership, you can actually change the direction of that organization. You don't have to be kind of stuck in what the organization has been doing. So you are like the CEO of that organization. You can change it take it in a different direction. So the whole idea is we have to monitor participation and see why students aren't participating. But so yes, it is very, very important to get students to participate more.
Thank you.
I just had a brief comment. I just want to tell you, back back when I went to school, I got my BSBA in 2005, and I knew then, they told us then, that if I came to do my MBA within 7 years, I would have a year off of the MBA, right? The first half of the program would be waived. So in 2010, I was thinking about that. I was thinking to myself, hey, if I want to do the MBA, now's the time to do it, or in the next year or so. In addition, my company was reimbursing up to $10,000 a year for education. So if I started in the fall would be paid. Then the following year, I'd have to pay, you know, about half. And then the springtime, again, my company would pay. So it became a timing thing where the seed was planted when I was doing my BA, my BS. And then it continued when I found out that a good portion of the MBA would be covered. When I was doing it, Dr. Sengupta did things like he took us down to Cisco to look at the telepresence, which was cutting edge, you know, before Zoom. And we went and we did a tour of the Dreamforce. Everybody got, you know, in our marketing class got passes, and we walked through the cloud computing, which is so much of this city now, which was cutting edge 10 years ago. So there was all these things that kind of tied together with what the city was doing that, you know, made it worthwhile to network with people before class and to go out for drinks after class. So I think some of that, you lose a lot of that with the online and with the way things are going. But I don't know if as the city's changed to cloud computing and tech, if the college has kept up with the trends and stuff. So something to think about.
Very true. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. We have one question from Don Endo. Don, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Good evening, Dr. Sivadas. Thank you for putting on this presentation. It's very helpful, I think, for everybody on the call. Manny, how are you doing, Manny? Good to see you.
Good, Don. Thank you. Good to see you as well.
Great. Dr. Sivadas, you know, you're coming from, I guess, the Washington area where you were previously at. And so, you know, one of the things we face being at San Francisco State in a city of San Francisco is that our students oftentimes compete with a number of well-known name universities, from UCs to Stanfords to USFs, Santa Claras, you know, you name it. There's a whole host of well-known universities in the area. What are your thoughts about yourself getting more involved in the business community in San Francisco to sort of expound on the representations of San Francisco State, that, you know, the students that come out of our university are actually, you know, not only diverse, but well-educated, and oftentimes come with a much better work ethic in many cases than, you know, the other graduates that are coming out of some of these competing universities. Have you had any thoughts about becoming more involved in the business community in San Francisco, whether it's working with, you know, President Mahoney or, you know, anything like that? What are your thoughts about that? Because I'd be curious to hear that.
My thoughts are that it's extremely important, and it's one of the things I really want to do. And that's one of the reasons I was thinking of expanding our development council from 10 to 35 plus members, so that we get more outreach. And of course, other ways to outreach is through like the chambers of commerce and to meet with leaders from different organizations. So it is a top priority, and for a business school, it has to be a top priority because I think fundamentally, yes, for our students, we do offer a good product. We do train students well, but yes, it is a very competitive marketplace, and I think we do want to make sure that our students land good jobs at the end of the process. And not only and that's why a lot of the ancillary things that we do are important. So connections with the business community are paramount, and we have to look at how to do it. So one thing we are fortunate is we do have a large alumni base, and a lot of that is based here, but I don't think we have like tapped into it adequately. So I think that is going to be a big priority for us and collectively. And I think, and I agree with you that the importance of it is significant. And any guidance that you can give us on how we can accomplish that would also be greatly appreciated.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we got time for one last question, and that would be from Brenda. So, Brenda, you get the last word.
The pressure's on. Actually, my question kind of stems from what Don was saying about how the students are competing against other students from more prestigious colleges. And I found that to be very true. And now that I'm on the other side of the table looking at resumes for potential applicants in finance, especially, I would say that over the last few years, it seems like the College of Business was solving for higher graduation rates. And it feels like some of the curriculum maybe was, I wouldn't say, made less difficult, but there was some movement that happened that I think maybe unintentionally resulted in students coming out with a skill set that didn't quite match up with some of the jobs that they're trying to get into, right? I was wondering if you had any experience with this, or if that's something that maybe that you had looked into that you could speak to a little bit.
So where do you work?
I work in equity research at Dodge & Cox, which is a very large firm in San Francisco. It's actually a San Francisco-based firm.
Okay. So I think what is very important here is that the curriculum should not be diluted, right? Because the product that we produce has to compete well. And I don't believe that is the case. But the question, what we can do in that is, one important thing is that each department or each area should strengthen their own advisory boards. And one of the things so among the strategic priorities that I have put, one is, student obsession, which is what is the maximum we can do for our students. And I do believe, and there was a previous comment on the chat about, having the technical software skills and so on and so forth as well. And I also made a comment earlier to Okorie that, the younger alumni can help us because they kind of know what these students will be interviewing for. So to make sure that our curriculum has those skills necessary for students to succeed. And I think so continuous engagement and conversation with the employers as well as to what kind of skills are they looking for in students, and melding that back into the curriculum is very critical. And to answer your question, yes, I do have experience with that, because when we design or redesign or refresh a curriculum for a field like ours, we have to also take the employer's perspective into mind, making sure that the skills that the employers need are being reflected in the curriculum. So in your particular case, or from your experience, what are the skills that are lacking? Is it technical skills? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's what I find a lot of finance students and just general business accounting students coming out with is a lot of theory-based, skills, but not a lot of, they don't translate well into actually sitting down and doing a project or doing a case study or answering, a technical question in an interview, for example, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think that those areas definitely need to be beefed up a little bit. And the way that, sort of my generation supplemented that is through student organizations who were putting on, seminars and workshops, teaching students these skills, financial modeling, sort of three-statement accounting analysis, those sort of things. Interview prep, which could be supplemented through the Career Center, that sort of thing. So there are a few there are a few student organizations out there that are really putting an emphasis on this, that do a really, really good job on that. And I hope that one day that could actually just be incorporated into the curriculum so that, like you said, all students can participate in, not just the 10 that show up to student organizations.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, indeed. I'm taking notes about what you said as well. So,
thank you, Brenda. I think we have one last final question. So, Marge, did you want to ask your final question before we wrap up?
Yeah, it's more of a comment.
Okay.
Actually, two comments, and I apologize for not showing my face, but I've been working at home, you know. Two things. One is you're talking about getting practical experience and pushing people together to the greater good so that when you go into the workforce, you're prepared. So I didn't hear anything about teams, people working on projects in teams. And I think that, I know that that's where I would get the most practical experience, because you have to work together, which is a huge thing to learn and produce something. But the second thing I wanted to mention too, you were talking about organizations and bringing them in and working together with the population. And my example that I could give is, you know, I work in venture capital, healthcare based. You know, the founder of my company is one of the fathers of biotech. So I've really been into the Healthcare Business Women's Association. And about 7 years ago, something like that, your business and development gentleman, and his name escapes me right now, he and I had a couple very long conversations. And after a couple of years, we finally got San Francisco State on board as a corporate partner. Yet, I haven't, up until sheltering in place, and along with that membership, there's so much that, and it doesn't have to be just women, we take men too. But I didn't see any of those free memberships being used and people coming to the organization. And the things that they could learn, and just this one, but there's a million different organizations that could do the same thing. To take advantage of that and take it as an extra learning thing and expand your network. I'm all about network. You know, and speaking skills and how to have that offhanded chat with people you've never met before. And how can I get into your network? Because with everyone has their own network. So I think that the push, I'd love to know if HBA is still a part of working with San Francisco State, because it was a big piece a few years ago. But I think there's several organizations that would benefit bringing the people in. I also have one other thing. Yeah. I didn't really graduate from San Francisco State. I went to the night school for the human resources certification, which took me to a vice presidency. Thank you very much. But I went to a SUNY school, and somehow they've found me, and I'm sorry this is all about me, but it's the only examples I can use. Oh, no. And they just asked me to come in and talk to them, talk to their nursing students about how to get a network, how to find a job, how to perform, how to be, you know, all of the things that aren't talked about at the college level. And Brenda, I think you were looking at that as well. So I'm available to talk about this. A one-on-one or something. It's right up my alley, and I really enjoy doing it, working with the students especially. Yeah, thank you. That's Manny, you have a comment on that, or?
Oh, no. I was gonna say thank you, appreciate that comment, and we can look to follow up with you on that.
Yeah, we will, thank you.
Well, this has been a great event. I want to thank our guest speakers, Dean Sivadas and Mr. Okorie Ramsey, for making the time tonight out of their busy schedule for joining us for this meet and greet of our new incoming dean. So thank you both. And a really big shout out, thank you to all of you for attending this evening's event, for taking it out of your own busy schedules as well to join us and to learn a little bit more about the Lamb Family College of Business and also the the vision and the future for the business school with our incoming new dean. So thank you for joining us. But I also want to encourage, and please be sure to RSVP for the upcoming virtual event on innovation and leadership with Stephen Gillette, former CEO and co-founder of Chronicle, and Clarice Turner, president of Joseph Phelps Vineyards, on October 29th at 5:30 next Thursday. The RSVP link is in the chat box, and we wish you well and look forward to seeing you at our next event. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Take care, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So much.
Thanks.
Okay, we have one more person on.
No, it's just the three of us now.
Oh, okay. So Eugene, thoughts, feedback?
Yeah, I think it was, thank you both. I think it was well run. I mean,
One second, I'm going to stop recording.